Hello everyone, welcome back to Krita Studios. Now as you can see, we are shooting outside. I did a video a while ago telling you guys that we have lost the place where we used to shoot. So that is why we are doing it outside, and I would like to apologize in advance because of the background noises. There's some work going on, lots of machines, lots of noise. Regardless, today we are going to be cleaning my very dirty PC. It's been a while since I've cleaned it, and I just thought that I'd take you guys along for the ride just to get an idea, because we also got a huge demand by one person that we should be doing a build video. We are going to do that as well, but this one is also going to be including a fair bit of disassembly and reassembly, so that should also serve the purpose. Other than that, I also have to swap out the cooler. At the moment I have a Wraith Prism installed, and I have to switch it out to a Noctua NH-D15 because I've got some work for the Wraith Prism which we'll be doing soon and sharing with you guys as well. Apart from that, I have Arctic P12, 3 120mm fans in here. We are going to be swapping those out as well. Again, the same thing, got some work for them as well. So without further ado, let's just get started. Now the case is a Fractal Design Meshify S2 and not the Meshify 2, which has the I/O panel which stays with the case when you remove the front panel. So we won't be able to remove the entirety of the front panel. We'll just remove the filter, for which you first have to remove this bottom filter, and then you just kind of push it out, and there it goes. I think you can already see the amount of dirt and dust. After those panels, we are going to start with the glass panel. I have already removed the screws that holds these together, and that's the left one. Now this case is fairly easy to work with because you can remove this this top panel as well, which gives you a lot of access to the components in there. So now that we've got all those panels removed, we are going to start by disconnecting all the cables and remove the power supply so that we have a little less clutter on hand. Supplementary CPU power cable, 8 pin, the fan connector for our Wraith Prism, the connector for the fan at the back, which is, as I mentioned, is a Arctic P12 120mm fan, the 24 pin motherboard power cable, front fan connectors. So we are going to start by removing our graphics card, which is an RTX 3060 Ti. It is the Aorus Master variant from Gigabyte. What we have to do in order to remove the PSU is to disconnect the SATA connectors from behind the case. This little connector, that it is basically a SATA distribution cable, so you can use the power, you can reduce the cable clutter by just using this. You can connect one to the main power output and then connect it to your drives. So we can connect 3. I've got connected 3 of them. Now these are Cooler Master extension cables. Not so good, not so bad either for the price. Now the good thing with this case is that the power supply can be mounted on this little bracket that goes behind the case, and you can simply remove it with these 2 thumb screws, not thumb anymore. PSU is fairly free, and now we can simply pull it out from the enclosure. Now I think that now that most of the cables are out, we can start by removing the motherboard now. So now that we have all the screws removed, the board can be taken out. Most of the components are out of the case. So we are going to start by removing these fans because we have to swap them out. So as you can see, the channel for routing your fan cables is a little narrow. Plus there are the front panel cables as well. So you have to be a little careful. For that, I'll have to detangle these winding wires. Getting started. Finally, I've got the cable out. So this is something to think about for Fractal Design. I guess they've already thought about it with the new Fractal Design 2. Because in that one, you can remove the front panel in its entirety without messing with the I/O panel. Now we have all the fans removed, and everything from the case has been removed now. And there you go, folks. The case has been disassembled. We are going to start the cleaning process by blowing off the dust with this little air compressor that we have. This is actually an inflator, but we use it to clean my computer because we do not have anything to inflate anymore. After blowing off the dust, we are going to clean it with a brush so as to dislodge the dust and dirt that has settled on there. Then we are going to use the blower again. Then we are going to use a clean cloth to wipe everything and get everything installed. Now that we have dusted off all of our components, we are going to start by cleaning. But before that, I'll choose one component, clean it. We'll start with the motherboard, remove the cooler, install the new one, get the motherboard ready, clean it, put it away, and then we are going to go on, so forth. I am not really a big fan of the mounting mechanism of Wraith Prism. This our Wraith Prism cooler, the stock one that used to come with Ryzen 7 3700X and 3900X. They're also supplying it with the 7000 series. It's a fairly good cooler, good enough for 65 watt thermal loads. Now the next bit is removing the retention bracket for the AMD default coolers. You start with placing these spacers, then you attach the plate, and now I've got the screws pre-attached. I'm just going to tighten them with my hand first so that they are secured in their place. Now you just have to tighten them, and our mounting mechanism for Noctua NH-D15 is ready to go. So when you have to clean off the excess thermal paste off your processor, tissues are never recommended because they leave a lot of lint. But for the initial bit, you can do that. We also have rubbing alcohol and lint-free cloth with us that we are going to use to clean later. So for now, I'm just removing the excess paste so that we can proceed with the cleaning of the motherboard. For these components, the sensitive ones, it is advised that you use a soft brush to do that, especially the heat sinks and everything. So if you are cleaning your PC after a long time, you are going to have to be thorough. We are just going to install the heatsink at the moment and not the fan, because the fans can be installed later. Now we've used this cooler a fair bit, so I'm going to have to clean it a little. So once we're done with that, you're going to get our thermal paste out, place your heatsink, make sure it aligns with the screws. Now you're going to tighten the screws alternatively in order to spread the thermal paste evenly across the IHS of the processor. So one twist here. So the next component that we are going to clean is our graphics card, our Aorus Master 3060 Ti. We are going to start off with the brush. Also, when you're cleaning these components, make sure that the housing of the fans, these edges, are cleaned thoroughly because they catch a lot of dust. Now we are going to blow away the excess dust. Now, you must have noticed that I did not use the cloth on the motherboard. That is because there are a lot of solder points and they are going to tear off the threads, and again there is going to be lint. But on this we have a lot of flat surfaces that need cleaning, so we are just going to use a cloth. As you can see, the board is installed and it's not going anywhere. So it's sitting right on the standoffs, and the one in the middle is helping us keeping the board in place. I just have to make sure that the standoffs align, and I'm just going to leave it there, live on the edge, take a little risk, put in the first screw, and we are going to start to tighten our board, and there it goes. It is going to be secure now, won't go anywhere. So we tried the vertical installation for the motherboard. It was slightly tricky and I was a little nervous about this, but I'd like to think that it went well. We are finally done for the day. Lots of time, lots of elbow grease. It took a while because it was really dirty, but I am quite happy with how it went. Looks really clean. We have swapped out the coolers, we have swapped out the fans. So everything is done. We are just going to see if it works. Everything is in order, the temperature of the GPU, the CPU and everything else. So we are going to check that out, and that is it for today. Bye.